यशोदानन्दना प्रजनरन्दना यशोदानन्दना प्रजनरन्दना रमनापीता भजताहि जगन्नाथ वृन्दाविहारी गोपीशनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दना व्रजनरन्दना यमुनातीरवनचारि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादाय जय प्रभुपादाय प्रभुपादाय जय प्रभुपादाय जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्णा। Today we will be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 25th chapter, titled Glories of Devotional Service, text number 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Narang Jaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasang Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let's recite the verse. न करहि चिन्मत्पराः शान्तरूपे नङ्क्षन्ति नो मे निमिषो लेढिहेतिः येषामहं प्रिय आत्मा सुतश्च सखा गुरुः सुहृदो दैवमिष्टम् न करहि चिन्मत्पराः शान्तरूपे नङ्क्षन्ति नो मे निमिषो लेढिहेतिः येषामहं प्रियात्मा सुतश्च सखा गुरुः सुहृदो दैवमिष्टम् न करहि चिन्मत्पराः शान्तरूपे नङ्क्षन्ति नो मे निमिषो लेढिहेतिः येषामहं प्रिय आत्मा सुतश्च सखा गुरुः सुहृदो दैवमिष्टम्. Hare Krishna. Any of you want to recite?
न करिंचे मत्परासनता रूपे न नक्षन्ति नो मे निमिषो लेदिहेति येषामहं प्रिय आत्मसुतश्च Saka Guru Shurdo Devan Istam.
Hari. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, word by word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvind Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. No, not. Karhichit, ever. Mat parah. My devotees. Shanta Rupe, O Mother. Nangshanti, will lose. No, not. May, my. Or Nimishaha, time. Ledhi, destroys. Hetihi, weapon. Yesham, of whom. Aham, I. Priyaha, dear. Atma, self. Sutaha, son. Cha, and. Sakha, friend. Guruhu, perceptor. Suhridaha, benefactor. Devam, deity. Ishtam, chosen. Translation. The Lord continued. Lord means the Lord Kapil Dev continued. My dear mother, devotees who receive such transcendental opulences are never bereft of them. Neither weapons nor the change of time can destroy such opulences. Because the devotees accept me as their friend, their relative, their son, perceptor, benefactor, and supreme deity, they cannot be deprived of their possessions at any time. This opulence, it says basically, essentially, the opulence of having a firm and very pure relationship with Krishna. This is the context of this verse. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that one may elevate himself to the higher planetary systems, even up to Brahma Loka, by dint of pious activities. But when the effects of such pious activities are finished, one again comes back to this earth to begin a new life of activities. Essentially, 9th chapter, Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter, and verse 20 and 21, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that Traividyamam Somapaha Putpapa Yagya Ishtva Swargating Prarthayante Te Punyam Ashadya Surendra Lokam Ashnanti Divyan Divideva Bhogavan. And then after that, they, so by performing the some pious activities, as it is mentioned here by dint of pious activities. So by some activities which are mentioned in the Vedas, not whimsically. So today people, or even the priestly order, all of them may not be, they are not perfect. Only very rarely some of them don't know the details. So, and what should be done, who should be worshipped, right? So as per the Vedic scriptures, this pious activity had to be performed, and they can, earn pious credit by performing such things, and they can be elevated to higher planetary systems for better enjoyment. Essentially, it's still sense gratification, and the higher planetary systems are still within the physical realm, like they are still within the material world. They are not into a spiritual world. So next Krishna says, but what happens? They cannot remain there forever. So they have to come back to, when the piety that exhausts, they have to come back to the Martya or Karma Bhumi to earn the pious credit again, or to do some karma again. They have to come here to earthly planets. So then Krishna says, next verse, Tetam bhaktva swargalokam vishalam chhine punya martyalokam vishanti evam trei dharmam anuprapanna gata gatam kama kama lavante. So they come and go. That's it. So Lord Nityan Prabhu mentions about such people: earn some pious credit, enjoy something in higher planet system, and then come back. And if perform negative activities, then go back to lower species or hellish planet. Again come back after long evolutionary cycle. Again keep on following this thing. So about such people, Nityananda Prabhu mentioned in Bangla, that word is there, Ali Elo or Gelo. They came and went like that. So here, let's continue. Thus, even though one is promoted to the higher planetary system for enjoyment and a long duration of life, still that is not a permanent settlement, because they are still under the purview of time. And what is the effect of time? It deteriorates everything over the time. It destroys or it nullifies everything over the time. Right? As the time passes, it has its deteriorating effect on anything and everything within this material world. Right? So, but as far as the devotees are concerned, their assets, what is the asset? The achievement of devotional service. When Srila Prabhupada mentions as devotional service, And Srila Prabhupada mentions devotees, that means pure devotees and pure devotional service. So what is the asset? The achievement of devotional service and the consequent opulence of Vaikuntha, even on this planet, are never destroyed. In this verse, Kapila Deva addresses his mother as Shanta Rupa, indicating that the opulences of devotees are fixed because devotees are eternally fixed in the Vaikuntha atmosphere. So even in this world, where pure devotees are present, they create the environment of Vrindavana, Golok Vrindavana, or they create the environment of Vaikuntha, right? And Krishna, they always carry the Lord in their heart, right? It's mentioned that Swanta Hastena Gadabhrata, right? Tirthi Kurvanti Tirthani, Swanta Hastena Gadabhrata, right? So such devotees, they carry Lord in their heart and they are able to create the atmosphere of Vaikuntha wherever they go and visit, right? So that's all. So which is called, so this Vaikuntha atmosphere, which is called Shanta Rupa, because it is in the mode of pure goodness, undisturbed by the modes of passion and ignorance. So here, see, typically, we understand there are three, gunas like Satoguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. But what happens typically or most commonly in this material world, the Satoguna is very difficult, very rarely some devotees, pure devotees, they can be in Shuddha Satoguna. But otherwise, for progressive devotees, even to progressive devotees and to, many of the, what to speak of the common man, but even pure progressive devotees, right? They are under, they are not under the influence of pure Satoguna. So because Satoguna is also somewhat tinged or contaminated by effect of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So that's a very important to understand here. Yeah. But pure devotees, they will be able to, rise above the mode of nature and they can be in pure goodness. Yeah. Once one is fixed in the devotional service of the Lord, Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki, right? So if one is permanently fixed, right, then his position of transcendental service cannot be destroyed, right? And the pleasure and service simply increases unlimitedly. For the devotees engaged in Krishna consciousness, in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of time, right? It's mentioned again in second canto itself. It was mentioned in third chapter. Ayur harati vapunsam udyanastam chayannasau tasyaryaschanonita uttam shlok vartaya. So both by rising and setting up, the sun diminishes life everyone except those who engage in the discussion, right? Harikatha, who engaged or who are in, fully absorbed in Harikatha or devotional service. To them, the influence of time does not act on that. How? Because their assets, which they, which is the relationship with Krishna, right? The pure devotional service they do under that relation, that is never destroyed. Anyway, let's continue. In the material world, the influence of time destroys everything. But in the Vaikuntha, there is no influence of time or of the demigods, because there are no demigods in the Vaikuntha planets. So demigods are Krishna's Lord's agents, authorized agents to oversee the material world's functioning, right? But they are great devotees of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. But Acharya has mentioned that they are not pure devotees, absolutely pure devotees. So, but they are highly advanced devotees. That's why Krishna delegates them, right? The overseeing of the material world. So they are not ordinary devotees of like that. Here, our activities are controlled by different demigods, right? Even if we move our hand and leg, the action is controlled by the demigods. But in the Vaikuntha atmosphere, there is no influence of the demigods or of time. Therefore, there is no question of destruction. When the time element is present, there is the certainty of destruction. But when there is no time element, past, present, and future, then everything is eternal. So here, see, it's the thing is, when we living entities, we are present in material world, our brain is, kind of hardwired in terms of, we think in terms of time always. Even in when we talk about Krishna, then we talk in the terms of when. कभी तो Krishna existence में आए होंगे. There must be some point in time, right, when Krishna would have come in. But that's not so. Krishna is eternal. How is he eternal? Because time is anyway his subservient energy. It is not that he is under control. Time is, Srila Prabhupada says in first canto, when Yudhishthira Maharaj is very much lamenting about the destruction of the Kuru dynasty after the Mahabharata war, that time Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that time is inconceivable energy, or it's the inconceivable willpower of Krishna, right? Like that. So this time is under the control of Krishna. But yeah, in a spiritual world, there is no influence of this time. Yeah, the day and night happens. I heard from reliable devotees, day and night happen, but that happens under the Yogmaya's control to facilitate Krishna's or Lord Vishnu or different forms of Lord Krishna, right? Different planets, Vaikuntha planets. So there is, like, it appears day and night are happening, evening is there, but that is just to facilitate the pastime of Krishna. It doesn't have the deteriorating effect as it has in material world. Yeah. Therefore, this verse uses the words non-angshanti, indicating that the transcendental opulences will never be destroyed. Why? Because Krishna says already in Bhagavad Gita that Mahatmanastu Mang Partha Daivim Prakriti Masrata. So the pure devotees or Mahatmas, they are not under the protection of Mahamaya, they are under the protection of Daivi Maya, that is Yoga Maya. Yeah, Mahamaya is also Krishna's energy only, but that has different effect, and Yoga Maya has different effect on the devotees, right? So they, like their devotional service or the relation which they have in the particular relationship with Lord, that is not destroyed, that is not weakened. Rather, it keeps on increasing, as it was just some time ago it was mentioned, that it is ever increasing bliss. Anyway, let's carry it. It's a long purport, but very impactful purport. We will see. The reason for freedom from destruction is also described. The devotees accept the Supreme Lord as the most dear personality and reciprocate with him in different relationships. So this is the thing I heard about, from our senior devotees in our temple also about Jagannath Puri Pandas. I'm just giving example here, right? Let's not keep it, pure theoretical. So I heard that the Pandas, right, Jagannath Puri Pandas, who are servitors of the Lord, they, they have so many family obligations, other things also that is there. But when it is the matter to serve Lord, then Jagannath Ji takes highest priority in their life, right? That time they will not, sometimes be late or delayed, or last moment to change it, give it to something. This kind of things is not done by those servants of Lord who are favored, right? So that's we can understand one through simple examples. So Lord is most dear to them. That is true. They might like their family members very much. That's fine. But Lord is the most dear personality. That's very important, right? So yeah, the most dear. Let's continue. They accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the dearmost friend, the dearmost relative, the dearmost son, the dearmost preceptor, the dearmost well-wisher, or the dearmost deity. See, how many times this dearmost, every relations in any mood, whichever relationship one particular pure devotee might have with Krishna in any of his form, either Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, or Lord Nrsimhadev, any form, but Lord is the most dear personality to that devotee, right? That's the point here, central point of this sloka. The Lord is eternal. Therefore, any relationship in which we accept him is also eternal. It is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. So relations, Bhakt, Bhagwan, and Bhakti. So Bhakti can be in any 5 primary mood, or along with one of these 5, then one of the secondary. The 7 secondary moods are there, right? Raudra, Vibhatsa, Bhayanak, there are so many others, right? 7 others, and 5 is the primary. Those 7 secondary mood, that they don't exist independently. You cannot have someone, they cannot have just Bhayanak or Raudra or Vibhatsa mood without any of the 5 primary rasas. Okay, along with 5 primary rasa, some tinge of some percentage will be there, and then along with that, others. Even in the gopis, right, when they have developed, man or Mahabhav or Mahaman, right, they are angry with Krishna, right? So that is, you can say, one of the 7 secondary rasas comes there, but it is along with the primary rasa of Madhurya, not independently. Otherwise it's a completely, different, which is not described like that. Anyway, it is clearly confirmed herein that the relationships cannot be destroyed, and therefore the opulences of those relationships are never destroyed. Every living entity has the propensity to love someone. This is the fundamental aspect, with which we begin our Krishna consciousness, right? So we say the innate quality, right, of every soul. The tendency is to serve or be served, love and be loved, right? This is the central tendency of every living entity, every soul, right? They have this tendency. Sometimes in some species within this material world or some situation, it might be dormant, but it is not, they're not devoid of it. It is by constitution, like the way the soul is, comes out from Krishna, right? As like an atomic molecule from the, in some place it's mentioned that just like sunshine, there are very tiny like atomic molecules, right? Like that, the souls, they are part and parcel of Krishna. They are coming, the soul origin is Krishna, right? And basically all of them are, the constitution, the ingredient in that sense constitution, not the rule book constitution. Yeah. So constitutionally, they have this tendency to love and be loved. Why? Because the source itself, like himself, the Krishna himself has, the tendency to love and be loved. So same tendency is carried on to every soul, right? It might be dormant. So it is not something external, we are not doing this sadhana bhakti to, artificially import something into us. Us means soul, we souls, right? We are not importing something. That is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabhunaya Sravana Adi Suddha Chitte Karaya Udaya. Like that. I think, yeah, that's the thing. So it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila that it is not to be, achieved. It's not a sadhya that you will, achieve this by sadhana. No, it is already there. Sravanadi Suddha Chitte Kara Udaya. So Sravanadi, by hearing Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, how sweet Krishna is, how good Krishna is, how he is well-wisher to everyone, right? To every living entity, right? So just by hearing about that from authorized scriptures, from authorized and pure devotees, right? If we just hear, then we start, discovering our relationship, which is already there, right? So then we start developing, rediscovering, essentially, not discovering, rediscovering our lost relationship with Krishna, right? So that's the thing. So that's the most important aspect, that we already have this tendency to love someone, but who do we love? Let's see further. We can see that if someone has no object of love, he generally directs his love to a pet animal like a cat or a dog. So we are not talking about the devotees here. We are talking about the normal people who are oblivious to Krishna's existence or how sweet God is, how sweet Krishna is. They are not aware of that. We are talking about such people here, right? If no more family members are left or they have deserted, if their family is completely broken, then, but what to do? The natural tendency of the soul to love someone and be loved by someone, that remains. Then such tendencies are directed to, some living entity. You cannot love iPhone, I'm saying. Yeah, you need some good phone or whatever we think is good for us, right? We need such objects for, day-to-day activity. But in the beginning, you think your new car, or we think that a new car, new house, or anything new, right? That we feel that we are, loving it, but that's not true, because over the time that attachment goes down, right? True love that actually never actually deteriorates. Like true love is only possible with Krishna. Anyway, so the thing is, the tendency to love that can be satisfied only by interacting with another soul. So if human beings are not around, right, then we redirect that love to some animals, some birds, or something like that, right? Yeah. So thus the eternal propensity for love in all living entities is always searching for a place to reside. Yeah, these two lines, I would say, yeah, this verse purport is it's big, but it's a very amazing. Like it hits directly, on the center point of our, situation, or common people, right? What they look for, Yeah, very interesting thing came to my mind. See, the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that book which Srila Prabhupada wrote, right? So the first thing, even before preface, right? George Harrison, he has written something like a foreword or something, right? So the first line of that book, which I am very fond of, first time when I read, it struck me forever. It says, George Harrison says, everyone is searching for Krishna. Some don't realize that they are, but they are. That's the thing. When people, look for most lovable person, or if in absence of a person, they look for very, like a nice, they if visiting zoos, or they, domesticate some pet or something, they look for best loving relationship with anyone and everyone. That's the underlying urge of the soul forever, and that is coming as a symptom of the dormant desire to be connected with one who can reciprocate love fully, all the time, in all places. That is Krishna, right? That's the urge, actually, and that urge is manifested in these circumstances, these symptoms, or these situations, right? That's the thing. Everyone is searching for Krishna. Some don't realize that they are, but they are, actually. That's the very like deep point. It struck me like anything. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a perceptor, or as a well-wisher, and there will be no cheating and no end to such love. Yeah, very, see, each line, it can be elaborated for hours and hours, but we will see. See here, we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, right? Now, Prahlad Maharaj says, to his schoolmates or Gurukul mates, right, that it's not very difficult to love Lord, because he is closest to us. Us means the we soul, right? I am a soul, and in the region of this material body, in the region of heart, in this material body, the soul and the closest to soul is Paramatma, right? So he's closest. It's not difficult to love him. Actually, Prahlad Maharaj says it's not too difficult to satisfy Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what Prahlad Maharaj says. Most easy. We have to just, hear from the right source and put and utilize our God-given free will. This free will is never actually, removed. If someone says that I cannot at all come to the temple, I cannot at all, pick up the chanting bead and all these things, that is just an excuse. That person, you might notice, he or she has some, what do you say, some negative engagements. It might be, eating non-veg, or maybe smoking, or any such thing. Did God put cigarette in his hand? Did Krishna put? No. He utilized his free will and chose that. He took that step on his own free will. If someone said that someone else taught me this, then he took the association of that person out of free will, right? And after hearing that, and there people know what is good, what is not good. Despite this awareness, if someone does something negative thing, that time they would feign ignorance that, yeah, I just, got into this. But they actually have utilized the free will, misutilized, whatever. So similarly, that, out of free will, basically that first step has to be taken. Then anyway, like we can, first by taking first step, the first step would be, the first step is like, the people, it is mentioned in the 9 steps that Adu Shraddha and then Sadhu Sangha, right? No, actually I figured out by listening to Acharya's lectures, right, that the Shraddha also, uh, comes into play because in past we might have done some service to some sadhu, like some Vaishnava, not, the colloquial sadhu. Anyway, so that gives rise to Shraddha, and then we take sadhu sangha essentially. Everything becomes basically from sadhu sangha or something, some service to some sadhu in this life or maybe previous life. Or the second option is that the causeless mercy, compassionate glance or compassionate prayer from a sadhu for some person or persons, right? That gives rise to it. Srila Prabhupada used to tell, right, his disciples, you did not have Sukriti, I made you fortunate, right? Like that. Or I gave you Sukriti. Srila Prabhupada used to tell this. Well, some of the disciples, like sent by Krishna and many others who received Srila Prabhupada's mercy, you could say that Srila Prabhupada actually empowered them, Anyway, let's carry on. Yeah, thus the eternal propensity for love, that we read. From this verse, we can learn that we can love the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our dearmost object, as a friend, as a son, as a preceptor, or as a well-wisher. And there will be no cheating and no end to such love. Yeah, no end. Yeah, see, this is the thing. We become frustrated in this material world from many relationships, right? The reason is, means the person at the other end of the relationship, right? I want to, I like, for example, one of my relatives, right? So that person has limited capacity, right? Despite he or she willing to, fully reciprocate with me, he or she is limited with time, space, and so many other things, right? Time limitation is there, space limitation is there. They have to go to office, right? 24 hours he will not be available. He will not be available to be with me and, just, have some sort of relationship with me. Not possible. People are in this occupation or that occupation. This is so. They cannot give time. Distance, right? Place. They are away from me. They cannot be forever with me. There are so many restrictions, right? Only Krishna, who is present everywhere, right? Only he is not limited by anything, time and place and any other thing, right? That he is capable to be with us all the time, all the place, everywhere, right? That's why if we establish our relationship with Krishna, then we will never be cheated, and our relationship will never end. That's here one thing, right? We will never be cheated. Sometimes, people cheat also. I was talking about who doesn't cheat but want to be, in relation with us, but that is also not possible. But only for Krishna it's possible. Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, same, right? So in fifth canto, Lakshmi ji actually tells about this thing, right? People think that I am my wife's husband, and lady thinks that wife thinks that he is my husband, he will fulfill all my needs. But that is not true. It might appear that for a very rich person it's possible. No, even for that person it's not possible, right? 24 hours he cannot be with a wife, right? Or wife and husband cannot be. They eventually go to sleep. Paramatma takes care of us even during our sleep, right? Paramatma is there. That's the person, right? Who actually takes care of us 24 hours. And in all places, even for our money or any other richest person of the world, they keep traveling here and there. Are they with their wives and family every moment? No. It's a misconception that we might think that, if we are rich enough, we can take care fully. No, not possible. Right. So only Krishna and basically as a Paramatma, he can take care, or personally also he can take care of us all the time, everywhere. Right. So yeah, we we shall eternally enjoy the relationship with the Supreme Lord in different aspects. A special feature of this verse is the acceptance of the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Perceptor. Yeah, Krishna is Supreme Perceptor. In so many places, in so many pastimes, it is mentioned Adi Guru, right? Like Kalya Lila also. Towards the end, when he was just about to die, he then realized this Krishna is Adi Guru, is Narayana itself, right? Anyway, And as a Chaitya Guru, right? Essentially, when we develop the desire, to get into or follow genuine spirituality, we want to get rid of all this problem and search for the supreme. This kind of direct or indirect desires, when they start manifesting in heart, then Paramatma sees that, and as a Chaitya Guru, he inspires us to go to a particular place, particular type of a spiritual person, whom we can connect with, and then progress towards. Then further, we proceed towards Krishna, right? So that's the Chaitya Guru, right? So there are several examples, like Srila Prabhupada's disciples. For one example is His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, right? So he had the desire, to seek genuine spirituality. So he shares his experience, right? He was seeking. So he met several persons, progressively. And the Paramatma says, is he satisfied at this level or that, whatever, right? If we seek genuine spirituality, Paramatma guides us to genuine spiritual person. So Giriraj Swami Maharaj met, some Zen master, some Buddhist monk, some this or that. And every time he writes the anecdote in each paragraph, no, I realized that he is not my guru. When he finally met Srila Prabhupada, and he asked Srila Prabhupada about God, some question, and then Srila Prabhupada very loudly and strongly, not in a chastising mood, but in a commanding mood, Srila Prabhupada commented, that depends on whether you want to serve God or you want to become God. This one line hit him so cleanly. That time he realized that this is my guru, like that. And he surrendered to Srila Prabhupada right in that program. Essentially, in heart he surrendered. And later he got initiated. So Giriraj Swami Maharaj felt that Srila Prabhupada is able to look not only me here, he is able to look to my look at my apartment, my bathroom's back doors, back side of the door, where I had written in a poster or paper that you are God. I felt that, Maharaj says that he felt that Srila Prabhupada was able to look up to that place, like that. Okay. But so that's what I'm saying, that, as a Chaitya Guru, that's what I was trying to describe here. Okay. Yeah, fine. So as a Chaitya Guru, the Supreme Perceptor, right? That's what. So as a Chaitya Guru, he inspires us to take the correct guidance and right direction, like that. Bhagavad Gita was spoken directly by the Supreme Lord, and Arjuna accepted Krishna as Guru or a spiritual master. Similarly, we should accept only Krishna as the Supreme spiritual master. Now, this point needs little elaboration. Now, in today's time, deity is not different from Krishna, we know, but do we truly, from within our heart, do we, accept that? If that were the case, we would act in front of deities as we act in front of personal Krishna, right? When Krishna is personal, right? The deity is Krishna, right? Directly. But we don't have that deep faith. We agree in principle, right? So now the question is, what about that then? That Krishna is not directly instructing us. No, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned about this in Srimad Bhagavatam Purport, first canto, probably first chapter, that by surrender to Krishna means surrender to his bona fide pure devotee, like a spiritual master, right? So that's is resolved here. If we accept Krishna as bona fide representative, right, then that constitutes that we are, taking instruction from Krishna. Krishna, of course, means Krishna and his confidential devotees. Krishna is not alone. When we speak of Krishna, Krishna means his name. Krishna means Krishna in his name, in his form, in his qualities, in his abode, and in his associates. Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela, and Parsad, right? It is like that. Krishna is never alone, right? For the devotees of Krishna are not impersonalists. For example, a king is always associated with his secretary, his commander, his servant, and so much paraphernalia. As soon as we accept Krishna and his associates as our perceptors, no ill effect can destroy our knowledge. In the material world, the knowledge which we acquire may change because of the influence of time. But nevertheless, the conclusions received from Bhagavad Gita directly from the speeches of the Supreme Lord Krishna can never change. 5,000 250 years, roughly around 5,250 years, close to that. That much long ago, like Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, right? That knowledge is still valid as it is. It's not that in Kali Yuga we need new Bhagavad Gita, some more fitting, conforming to ourselves. No, the fundamental nature of the soul is same, right? And the problems of this material world remain same, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, and the solution is also same. That connect back to Krishna, and then be free from this material entanglement, essentially. As Rishabhdev was telling to Bharat Maharaj before he went for as an Abdut, he left home. Before that, he instructed very nicely. One of the slokas says, I think 556, Pritir na yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deh yoge natavat. As long as we don't develop priti, like love with Krishna in some mood, right? There are 5 different primary rasas, right? Shanta, then Dasa, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, right? Unless we develop love for Krishna, Vishnu, till that time, the soul will not be free from the material body situation, right? But there's a subtle or gross. It will not be. Pritirna yavan mai vasudeve na muchyate deh yogena tavat. The second half of the 556. Anyway, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, should be accepted as one's best friend. He will never cheat, right? We see that. Not only, about Pandavas. Pandavas are eternal associates of Lord Krishna, but even I'm sure that most of us who are practicing our sadhana bhakti sincerely, even some bit of sincerity is there, they would have realized that Krishna helps them in so many matters, right? Paramatma definitely reciprocates, and he inspires to do right thing just right in time, right? There are many things. I am sure I have had many such experiences, and I'm sure most of us or all of us who are practicing sadhana bhakti nicely over some time, they would have had such experiences. He never cheats, he helps actually, right? He will always give his friendly advice and friendly protection to the devotee. And this is like friendly protection. It's like a everyday basis we can experience if we observe carefully. If Krishna is accepted as a son, he will never die. Here we have a very loving son or child, but the father and mother, or those who are affectionate towards him, always hope, may my son not die. But Krishna actually never will die, right? So actually, sometimes in Kali Yuga, it has started happening that children can die before parents. Till Dwapar Yuga, and it was not happening. One exception case was there, that was past time, but till end of Dwapar Yuga, it was not happening. In Kali Yuga, it happens, right? So only if you have Krishna as a son, he will never die. Now, we have many examples like that, right? I heard from the lectures that Brajavasi or even some, Dham, right? Some people from the spiritual place, they develop that relationship with Krishna. And Krishna comes and even in that mood, right? Krishna comes and does the Sradha karma of their parents who accepted Krishna as their child. Famous example is Queen Gundicha, right? So, and Indradyumna Maharaj, right, who prayed to Lord Nilmadhav when he appeared, and they didn't want, king asked for the boon that he doesn't want any progeny, and the queen lost all hope. She was crying. But then she got assurance from both Maharaj and Lord himself that he will become their son, right? And even today, what happens? That Lord Jagannath actually conducts their Sadha Karma like that. Indradyumna Maharaj and Gundicha Maharani, right? So that's the thing. Krishna will always be available as a child to that person, right? That soul. By the way, there is one thing. Even in Golok Vrindavan, it's not that Krishna's relationship with Yasoda is, it is over. No. Actually, there are some sections in Golok Vrindavan also. I heard and found out from Acharya, our proper disciple, that even in Golok Vrindavan, there are sections where, or the regions where Mother Yashoda, she keeps having the relationship with Krishna as a small child, like that. So it never, that particular mood or relationship never actually gets over. We will see it further. But Krishna actually never will die. Therefore, those who accept Krishna or the Supreme Lord as their son will never be bereft of their son, right? In many instances, devotees have accepted the deity as a son. Right? In Bengal, there are many such instances, and even after the death of the devotee, the deity performs the Shraddha ceremony for the father. Yeah, here it is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada already mentions this, and concrete example, famous example, I already discussed about Indradumna Maharaj and Queen Gundicha. The relationship is never destroyed. People are accustomed to worship different forms of demigods, but in Bhagavad Gita, such a mentality is condemned. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different forms, such as Lakshmi Narayana, Sitaram, and Radha Krishna. In Kali Yuga, people want immediate result, right? That's what Krishna says in 7th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 20, 21, 22, 23, 4 verses about like Krishna discusses or tells the characteristics of people who are attached to demigods and basically the nature of such person, right? It begins with saying that Kamais taistair hrit jnana prapadyante anya devata. Their wisdom or intelligence is lost. It is kidnapped essentially by illusory energy, right? Kamais taistair hrit jnana prapadyante anya devata tang tang niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. And he ends with antamattu phalang tesam tad bhavati alpa medhasam, because they are short or poor fund of knowledge, right? Srila Prabhupada mentions like this so many places. Because they are less intelligent, that's why they take shelter of demigods, and the result obtained after worshipping the demigod is also temporary. So why to so those people are basically less intelligent. Essentially, they are fools. Less intelligent is a polite word. Acharya say that it is just a polite word. That poor fund of knowledge, we at least can assume that they have some knowledge. No, actually, they don't have any knowledge. If they had any bit of knowledge, they would have at least thought about it, that why to go to demigod. Anyway, let's see. Thus, one will never be cheated. If you worship Lord in any of the forms, Lakshmi Narayana, Sitaram, Radha Krishna, thus one will never be cheated. By worshipping the demigods, one may elevate himself to the higher planets, but during the dissolution of the material world, the deity and the abode of the deity will be destroyed, right? But one who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead is promoted to the Vaikuntha planets, where there is no influence of time, destruction, or annihilation. The conclusion is that the time influence cannot act upon devotees who have accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as everything. Well, talking about purport itself, it comes towards, we are coming towards the end of the session. Yeah, few points I wanted to just share. Essentially, most of the acharyas whom I have heard from like over the years, they all emphasize on the same point, that when we establish a relation with someone and we are not satisfied in, we are not fully satisfied in any relationship with other soul. I want to backtrack completely to the fundamental step. See, the souls, who are we souls, right? Krishna says, Mamavanso Jivaloke, Jivbhuta Sanatana, right? We are all ansa of Krishna only, right? Mamavanso Jivaloke, right? Jivbhuta Sanatana. We are part and parcel. We are, parts of Krishna only, right? Can one soul create another soul? No, right? People, get married, they have children. The child is essentially a soul, right? And he has the body which is given by nature, and with the impetus of, husband, wife, uniting, right? But the body is material, right? Essentially, the child is a soul, right? Parents are souls, right? Is it that the souls of the parent, they created another soul? No, they did not create another soul. Soul is always part and parcel of Krishna, and that soul has come as a child of a particular parents, right? Because of the karma of previous life, how the karma was entangled from between three persons, and because of that, the child has to accept a body as a soul. The child has to accept the body, right, as the child of that particular parents, right? So essentially, we are not creating souls, right? So there cannot be a relation between one soul to another soul directly. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavatam, I think again first canto, that the relationship between two souls based on, blood relation is not really tangible or solid or useful relation, something like that. But the relationship between two persons via the medium of Krishna or Vishnu, right? That is real relation, right? That's what. So even if we love our family members, that's why it is said that bring your family in Krishna Bhakti, right? Krishna consciousness. That family is the actual good family, right? Otherwise, yeah, it's looks like material level, and we just enjoy and suffer both in any relation, right? Little bit enjoyment and little more suffering, right? Yeah. The relation between two souls via the medium of Krishna, that is true relation, and is much more stronger than so-called blood relation, right? So that is one point. So now, yeah, to derive or to be able to experience unlimited happiness or bliss, or any sort of positive relationship, and that relationship releasement can be fulfilled only by Supreme Lord, right? He is like the complete whole. He is the Rasaraj Krishna, right? Fountainhead of all mellows and all the rasas, right? Krishna is that person. So that is one thing. So, and any person, each and every unlimited among unlimited souls, every soul has the unique relationship. Already they have a unique relationship with Krishna. It is already there, that particular mood and swarupa, right? So that is what's called Sarup Siddhi, after proper and strict sadhana over sufficient time. It depends on sincerity. Srila Prabhupada says that surrender can happen in a moment, and otherwise it might take a long time, right? So if someone is fully surrendered and basically follows the sadhana bhakti process, then that soul can realize, even within this material world, one can realize his or her relationship with Krishna, eternal relationship. That is Swarup Siddhi, right? That happens only through sadhana process. Not that by miracle someone will immediately help us achieve that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. So this Swarup Siddhi, how it happens? As I already mentioned in the beginning, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that it's not something artificial, right? Sarvana Adi Siddha, Sarvana Adi Siddha Chitte Karay Uday. So by hearing and chanting, as soon as you hear the word Kirtan, Srila Prabhupada has most of the times translated that to chanting. Kirtan is chanting or telling Krishna Katha to others, sharing Krishna's pastimes with others, explaining Krishna's pastimes to others. 116 also Srila Prabhupada mentions. Kirtan means, like Shukdev Goswami is Acharya of Kirtan. So was he doing, mridang, harmonium or other things? No. He was just narrating Krishna's pastime in a pure form. And he himself being a pure devotee, right? That's the actual meaning of chanting and spreading the glory of Krishna, right? That is actually actual meaning of Kirtan. Of course, musical instruments also, that is the tradition is there. But the core actual emphasis is on chanting and explaining to others. But how will we be able to explain to others unless we ourselves have not contemplatively read or heard from acharyas, right? So that's the importance of, see, in the Navadha Bhakti process, that's the 9 limbs, right? As Prahlad Maharaj says, Bhakta Sramani Prahlad Maharaj, Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. Srila Prabhupada mentions that among these nine limbs of devotional service, even some, but then he says, even one, which is Sravanam, if we do it perfectly and sufficiently, that is enough to make us perfect in Krishna Bhakti, right? So that's the thing here. But we are not Parichet Maharaj that we will be able to hear 24/7 non-stop without nature's call break, or water break, or lunch break, or snacks break. We are not at the level of Parichet Maharaj. So we are trying to purify our heart essentially, right? And consciousness, right? What is the process? The process is same. Whatever we look for, the answer always comes back to chanting our Hare Krishna Mahamantra japa sincerely to the best of our ability, and then reading Srila Prabhupada books, especially Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, each and every book of Srila Prabhupada for that matter, right? Stravan and Kirtan, right? Chanting and hearing and reading, right? Essentially, it comes to these two fundamental steps. Every spiritual master recommends, takes promise of these same things. And we keep asking for the whole life, how can we purify our mind? That's the whole process. Right? We have to purify our consciousness. Chetodar Paramarjanam happens by Nam Sakirtan, or Nam personal, for our personal purification. It is the Nam Japa, chanting, right? As Krishna says, among all sacrifices, I am the Japa, right? Yajnanam Jap Yagyosmi, 10.25 Bhagavad Gita, right? So whole process is that only. We will be able to establish our relationship with Krishna when in pure form, when our consciousness is purified. That will happen by chanting and hearing Krishna Katha sufficiently. That's the whole thing, with intensity, with seriousness. Then our chanting, if we hear more and more Krishna Katha, we realize how, understand and realize how sweet Krishna is. We have to contemplate on those things. And that actually purifies our consciousness. We have to share with others, that is Kirtana. As Krishna says, Machitta Madgat Prana, Bodhyanta, Paraspam, Pathyanta Samam Nityam, Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. Right? But second verse of the Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita, right? That's the whole thing. Is come back to always to the same 2-3 points, that Sravan, Kirtan, and our chant, essentially our chanting, right? So we can rediscover our relationship with Krishna when we get purified through this Sravanam and Kirtanam process. So that's it. We have hardly 2 minutes left. If there is any question, we could ask. Otherwise, we could conclude here. Hare Krishna. Otherwise, yeah, just one. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, how to get the love of God? Like, how to get the love of God? Like, purifying consciousness is okay while we are chanting, and but does it leads to love of God, or how do we know?
Hari Bol, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice question. Simple and very effective and important question. The answer is very simple. Srila Prabhupada has clearly and literally, so I am not, transforming Srila Prabhupada's word. Srila Prabhupada has literally mentioned multiple places. I don't know the exact reference, but we can search on Vedaves, that he says, by performing sadhana bhakti, it will convert into love of God. He says that clearly. So on the strength of Srila Prabhupada's assurance, and it is true, I will tell you. So maybe we can extend to 2-3 minutes more today. So the pure devotional service, or the devotional service, right? Bhakti Yoga. That chapter is what? 12th Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12. Okay, that is actually Bhakti Yoga. 9th chapter is called devotional confidential knowledge. Okay, 12th is Bhakti Yoga. In that verse number 8, 12.8, Krishna says, Mayyeva man adhatsva mayi buddhing nivesaya nivesasya mayyeva ato urdhong na sansaya. You always put your intelligence and mind in me. But it is not possible for everyone. That is possible for Prahlad Maharaj, like pure devotees, right? The question is, how do we reach? Then Krishna gives the next level. Just below that, he says that Atha chittang samadhatum na saknosi mayi sthiram. Then anasaknosi mayi sthiram abhyas yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. Abhyas yogena. Krishna says, let's open that actually, rather than just it's a very important actually. Yeah. So 9, right? Let's see. Atha chittang samadhatum na saknosi mayi sthiram abhyas yogena tato mam ichhaptum dhananjaya. What is the translation? If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, that happens for Prahlad Maharaj, Pandavas, and Gopis, right? They are always absorbed in Krishna. Then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And this will develop a desire to attain me. So sincere practice of Bhakti Yoga leads to love of Godhead. It is, like Prabhupada has mentioned in some places. Okay, as simple as that. So that's the simple answer. Now, actually, yeah. If you have any follow-up question, please ask.
So just if you follow the sadhana, we'll get the love of God.
Yes,
sadhana bhakti means
yes, Prabhuji, it's not a what do I say, a bland thing. No, sadhana means what? Sravanam Kirtanam, right? Essentially, right? By hearing Krishna's sweet pastime, any sincere soul will develop amazing, progressively more and more attraction to Krishna, and it purifies the heart. As soon as the soul, like consciousness, is purified, then that means the soul is in natural state. Then naturally the love will fully manifest. Even now, for progressive devotees, they have some or other level of love for Krishna. It's not they are devoid of love of Krishna completely. No, it's not a binary that from 0 to it will change to 1 suddenly someday. No, that doesn't happen. It's a progressive journey. Like I might like Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra to some extent. I wouldn't use love word for myself, right? I should be, honest with myself. But I'm sure that there are many sincere devotees who have developed love for Krishna in some proportion or some standard. Only Krishna knows that, right? So definitely by hearing Krishna's sweet pastimes, see how he saved Pandavas when Asatthama released the second Brahmastra, right? That all Pandavas should be, I hear from Acharya that when he was departing, right? That time Pandavas were near the chariot of Krishna, Kunti Maharani was there. That time Asatthama had thrown one Brahmastra. Again, it happened again. So the 2 Brahmastras were there. One was to kill all the Pandavas, and one was for Uttara's emperor, right? Like essentially Parishit Maharaj. So without even Pandavas praying to Krishna for protection, Krishna nullified the Brahmastra without them knowing or something like that. All I'm saying, it is not only with Pandavas. There, people will say we are not at Pandava level. No. It comes basically when Prahlad Maharaj glorified Lord Nrsimhadev after Hiranyakashipu is killed, liberated. Then Prahlad Maharaj addresses the word Kripan Vatsala. Yeah, so Lord is even merciful to even right. Let me open right away. So that we are all. Yeah, see, Trastos Miham Kripana Vatsala Duhusahogra. Let's see the meaning of that Kripana Vatsala, right? See Kripana Vatsala here. That's my, this is the strength, or this is the assurance I have. See Kripana Vatsala. Oh, my Lord, who are so kind to the fallen souls. It's not, forget about pure devotees. Pure devotees, anyway, they are Lord's eternal associate. Lord is kind to even fallen souls. This is what gives me some assurance about myself. I'm not talking about others. Right, so like that. So as you said, yeah, as soon as we come in contact with devotee, here Krishna Katha, we develop some liking. So of course we have, in that tiny proportion we have love, and when we through sadhana bhakti we are fully clean, then we have full love manifested. As simple as that. By the way, the two example I wanted to share, which I just completely missed out today, how the soul is not created by soul. Chitraketu Maharaj, right, before he became pure devotee, his one son, which he could be got by some forceful mercy of some sage. So he was poisoned by other envious queens, right? When he was killed, and Chitraketu lamented like anything, like it is undescribable. Chitraketu Maharaj's lamentation at that moment, he became practically blind. He was crying so much. That time Narad Muni appears there, right? And out of kindness and seeing the situation of Chitraketu Maharaj, he actually revives the child, okay, the body, okay. The soul comes there and he starts talking with Chitraketu. Why have I been brought here? He questions Naradji or Chitraketu. And then Chitraketu Maharaj says that you are my son. He says, which father are you? From which life you are my father? Like that, right? So this is one concrete example. We can see that soul is not creating a soul. We are just giving a body to a soul, which is karmically related to us from some previous life. We don't know which previous life, right? Essentially, there is no father and son relation, or husband, wife, any brother, sister. There is no real relation like that between soul and soul. The only real relation is via the medium of Krishna. At this point I missed out, and there are multiple such examples, but at least one, this is a very prominent example in Srimad Bhagavatam, which I had planned to cover, but I missed out there, so I'm adding it right away. Anyway, any further question, Prabhuji? Any of you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very excellent class. Very, very encouraging, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandapradam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. All glories go to Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas, that by reading Prabhupada books and hearing from bona fide disciples of Prabhupada, I'm adding some line from here and there. So glories to Acharya and Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandapradam. We will stop here. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.